The year is 1950, and four of the greatest physicists of the 20th century sit down for lunch while working at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. They were working on the first atomic weapon. Over lunch, they read the newspaper and they come across this drawing in the New Yorker of aliens leaving a UFO here on Earth. They joked about the existence of aliens, and then after a few moments of contemplation, the famous Italian physicist Enrico Fermi looked up and asked the simple question: where is everybody? This would come to be known as the Fermi paradox, and it would trouble generations of physicists to come. His thinking goes like this: we know there are billions of stars like our sun in the Milky Way alone, each of them surrounded by planets just as complex as our own. Some of these will certainly have Earth-like planets in their habitable zones. Earth shouldn't be that special on the scale of the galaxy, so life should have emerged on one of these worlds before it emerged on the Earth. Since the galaxy is billions of years old, even assuming interstellar travel is hard and slow, the entire Milky Way should have been traversed and colonized by these advanced civilizations before life ever even emerged on Earth. And yet we have precisely zero evidence that this has ever occurred. As far as we can tell, we are the only intelligent life in the universe. And that's the Fermi paradox. There are literally hundreds of proposed solutions, but I don't think I have to go through them all. I'm going to show you the three most promising solutions to the Fermi paradox and explain something that nearly everybody misses when trying to solve it. And it's this misunderstanding that I believe holds the key to solving perhaps the most important question in all of science. Where is everybody?
Because if you imagine a civilization that's a million years ahead of us, they should have written their presence across the sky by now. You should see them.
The first possible solution that I want to look at is one of the most convincing based on all the evidence we have so far. Maybe the aliens are here in the galaxy with us, they just don't want to be found. This is commonly referred to as the dark forest hypothesis or the quarantine hypothesis, and it gets pretty freaky. First, I need you to understand the timeline of life in our galaxy as we know it. The Milky Way first begun forming 13.6 billion years ago. The first stars were created in the primordial gas and gravity started working hard. The structure of our galaxy would continue to develop over the next 3 to 5 billion years, eventually looking how it does today, around 10 billion years ago from now. And despite this, it would take a further 5.5 billion years for our sun and all the planets to begin forming. This is longer than our Earth has been around, leaving plenty of room for an alien civilization to form billions of years before life even emerged on Earth. So if the galaxy had billions of years and billions of potentially life-carrying planets, then surely life should have evolved before we were even around and continued to advance well beyond our technological capabilities simply just because they had a head start. And since this head start was huge, like billions of years, even if we assume that they can travel through space slower than we already can today, they would still have more than enough time to travel throughout the entire galaxy many times over. To me, this is a really convincing argument for why life should have evolved here in the galaxy before us. So where are they? Well, maybe they are just hiding from us, but why would they do that? I mean, surely to an outside observer, we seem really chill and nice, right? Well, the dark forest theory just says that they are hiding for self-preservation. By looking at everything that we know about the psychology of civilization growth and development here on Earth, it's clear that colonization and civilization expansion is a dangerous game fought with weapons. And sure, aliens and their civilizations would not have developed in the same ways as us here on Earth, but many philosophers and scientists seem to agree that the fundamentals that underlie these facts would apply to all forms of intelligent life. The ideas of self-preservation, looking after your needs and desires, and assuming that other life forms will do the same. All of these factors lead us to believe that a potential sea of civilizations out there might not be so friendly. And so, if other civilizations in our galaxy have made this same realization, maybe they are just hiding in plain sight. They may have stopped using radio communications, preventing their location from being revealed to dangerous aliens passing by. And I can already tell what you're thinking. Wait, should we be doing the same? I mean, we have been leaking radio signals out into space for nearly an entire century now, meaning any aliens listening out there for their next target within around 100 light years of us will have no problem locating our little blue world. Now, worrying about us sending a message out into the universe is a fair worry, but I would not worry about radio communication. They are relatively weak and decay over time, but it is worth questioning whether we should continue to expand our off-Earth presence. In the near future, as in within the next 5 years, humanity will have made its first real steps towards leaving our planet for good, establishing a moon base with a permanent population of astronauts, and then looking out further to colonizing Mars leaves us with an interesting problem. If we continue down this path, we will undoubtedly continue with this expansion, starting with the solar system and then more than likely looking further to neighboring planets and systems. If we aren't careful, we may run the risk of being too loud and too bold for our own good. It's worth noting that all of this logic comes from a very anthropic way of thinking. It might be the case that these psychological conclusions are derived from our recent experiences of history, the hunter-gathering times to the expansion of civilizations filled with war and suffering. Maybe the only way for a civilization to become extremely advanced is if they evolve to be more inherently peaceful, avoiding conflict to preserve their existence. Maybe the great silence of the universe is a sign and a suggestion for how to prevent your civilization from going extinct. While this is a terrifying solution to the Fermi paradox, it's not even close to the scariest option. Just quickly before we jump into the scariest solution for the Fermi paradox, I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Factor is a meal service that makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever before. They deliver fresh meals right to your doorstep that are dietitian approved. I can appreciate this because I don't know about you, but I used to hate those ready-to-eat frozen meals. And it's not just lunches and dinners. They have easy breakfast and smoothie options as well. If I had this during university, I'm sure I would have never had to skip breakfast to make it to uni on time. And that's the best part about Factor in my opinion. They give you fresh, nutritious, chef-prepared meals that you can heat and eat in just 2 minutes, saving you so much time. So whether you want help sticking to routines or just want to take the guesswork out of cooking and save some time, I would definitely recommend giving Factor a go. So head to factor75.com or just click the link at the top of the description and use my promo code 50AstroKobe. This will get you 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50AstroKobe at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Now, let's talk about some scary aliens. The most terrifying solution to me is just that we are alone. Life has only emerged once in the history of the universe, here on Earth, and we don't know why. Now, before you jump into the comments attacking the solution, at least hear it out. Life began here on Earth 3.8 billion years ago, and for the vast majority of that time, 3 billion years in fact, this is what life looked like. A single cell. Nothing more, nothing less. The eukaryotic cells required to make more advanced life, like plants, animals, you and me, those cells only ever evolved on Earth once in our entire 3.8 billion year history of life. Now, when you have that context and you consider all the possible ways the universe could sterilize a planet given enough time, gamma ray bursts, asteroids, planetary collisions, black holes, geomagnetic storms, the list goes on, it starts to feel like a more possible solution. It could be very well the case that there is some great filter in place, preventing intelligent life from evolving in the universe, and we are the only instance of life that has surpassed that barrier. Maybe the barrier is evolutionary, something like the eukaryotic cell evolution, or maybe it's technological, the splitting of the atom or the discovery of fire. There is a famous quote by Arthur C. Clarke that goes something like, "Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying." And I don't think that could be any more true. Because if that is the case, if we are just alone in the universe, think of the pressure. The entire universe has been evolving at the most advanced, insane scales for nearly 14 billion years. And finally, life evolves on a planet, but wait. They start to destroy their planet, and they are killing off species of life at record rates. In this hypothesis, the entire universe's weight of responsibility is on our shoulders. that's tough. But also, it doesn't have to be that extreme. Maybe there is life out there in a different galaxy, but they're just too far away to reasonably consider colonization, given that there have only been a few billion years, and intergalactic travel is a whole different beast compared to interstellar travel. And if this is the case, if all the galaxies in the universe are just filled with intelligent life sailing the seas of the cosmos between planets, why don't we see any of that here in the Milky Way? The answer to this is really just survivorship bias. If this is true, our existence in the galaxy alone provides us with sufficient evidence to conclude that we must necessarily be alone here in the Milky Way. Otherwise, we would have already been wiped out by the advanced intelligent life before getting to this stage. To me, this is quite an elegant argument and definitely has some intellectual validity, but it's just not satisfying. Our next solution is, in my opinion, the most likely and also the most misunderstood. It's the most clear and well-constructed argument for why we have no evidence for extraterrestrial life. Our search methods are outdated and anthropocentric. This just means that I believe the ways we have been using to search for these aliens have been too focused on searching for signs of life given off by a civilization of similar technological progress to us humans. For example, SETI. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence has nearly exclusively been searching for signs of life through radio wave searches of nearby star systems. And to me, this just makes no sense, because we humans are already moving our technology away from radio communications to things like lasers and fiber optics, and it hasn't even been 100 years. We should probably be assuming that an alien civilization would do the same just as quick as we have. This means there would be just a tiny sliver of time in each civilization's history where they would be detectable through radio communication. And as we said earlier, these advanced civilizations may have been around for hundreds of millions or even billions of years longer than we have. Do we really expect them to be just still communicating with radio signals? It's essentially like we are just randomly and briefly screaming out into the universe, hoping someone is listening and hoping they will scream back. And I know I sound like a hater right now. So what can we actually do? Well, if we want to properly assess whether there are aliens in our Milky Way galaxy, we just need to adjust our search methods to look for technological and biological signatures that are available just by virtue of a civilization existing. These can take various forms, and we are already starting to do some of them. Take biological signatures for example. We know that life here on Earth was able to evolve due to the abundance of liquid water and oxygen. If we look at starlight that passes through an exoplanet's atmosphere, we see signatures that tell us about the chemicals that are available on that planet. Now, markers like oxygen, methane, CO2, these are all good signs for life. But these things could also just be arising from basic unicellular life. If we want to find evidence for intelligent life, we might want to be looking for things like pollutants and CFCs, resulting from industrialization and climate change. If we found these on an exoplanet, these would be really strong technological signatures providing evidence for life. But perhaps technological signatures wouldn't be as subtle. Maybe they would even be intentional. There are all kinds of strange possibilities. Laser beacons shining throughout the cosmos, grabbing the attention of any onlooker. These beacons could shine brighter than entire stars, making them nearly impossible to miss. Another sci-fi option would be an alien civilization using the fabric of space-time to communicate with us over large distances. Astronomers have theorized that a sufficiently advanced civilization could use dense objects like black holes or neutron stars to create gravitational wave patterns that ripple throughout the universe. An advanced civilization would be able to measure these waves and decode the message, and we have already started to detect these gravitational waves, but there are no signs of any hidden messages thus far. And my personal favorite way that an alien civilization could be using to inadvertently communicate with us is through the use of Dyson spheres. These are hypothetical, advanced engineering masterpieces that are used to harness the power of the entire sun. We would just simply watch as their star dims and brightens in strange ways as solar satellites circle the star, harnessing their energy. An intelligent civilization could time the orbits of these satellites to send a distinctly intelligent signal, a message of their existence and technological superiority. Ultimately, I do believe that this is the reason we haven't found any signs of intelligent alien life yet. But our search has really just begun, and our methods of searching are still fairly archaic. I do believe that they are out there, and I really do hope that we find evidence for their existence in our lifetime. And if or when we do, I'll be the first to let you know everything you need to know. So subscribe for more.